Welcome back to Everyday Woman, and we have our interesting men's series and a very special guest. We have Robert Moran here, and Robert, you are living with autism. Now, tell me a little bit about how that is as far as your career and you know, trying to move up. Does that get in the way at all?
It does, actually. It's actually living. I'm actually working in a job that is most jobs you have to have some sort of social interaction with someone. For me, that is exactly what Asperger's is, what autism is. It is the impairment of our ability to interact with other people. I mean, it can manifest itself in different ways. For instance, I have problems reading body language. I know many people who have it that cannot remember people's faces. They call it face blindness. They can identify you other ways, but for some reason they just can't recognize your face. Also, we tend to, we lack the ability to kind of censor ourselves. We can go on and on and on about subjects. I mean, Asperger's is also known as little professor syndrome, because we can go on and on, talk about things that are completely boring and uninteresting to other people.
But you know a lot.
Yeah, we know a lot, but we don't always recognize that the other person we're talking to isn't completely interested in it.
You know, and Robert, it's so nice to meet you. I have a son who has autism, and we just recently told him, and so now he's Googling it and learning about it and what exactly it means, and so I'm very encouraged to see that you're doing so well, and it doesn't seem to, that you've identified your needs and strengths as well, and you can kind of guide yourself along that way and choose paths that will accommodate that.
Well, and one of the things that I've also been impressed with, you've written a lot about how autism is portrayed in the media, especially, with just recently with the shooting in Newtown and Adam Lanza. I think the press did a terrible job in covering autism and its involvement in the shooting at all. And what do you feel about how they covered it?
It's kind of a mixed bag. In some cases, they get it right. I mean, particularly like in the entertainment side, like in the show Parenthood, for example, they get it. The show's creators get Asperger's perfectly because these showrunners' son has Asperger's, and he based the character off of his son. But then you have it, where you get the news, and on the news side, it's kind of like they don't get it right.
They just want to throw it out as a buzzword, right?
Yeah, they just want to throw it out as a buzzword and basically get a lot of attention. I mean, there was not just the Newtown shooting, but there was also, after the shooting in Aurora, Colorado, Joe Scarborough went on MSNBC and said that the shooter was on the autism scale, and it was like,
what does that have to do with anything?
Exactly.
Well, not only are these people's records confidential and they don't know for sure and they have no business saying that to begin with, but there's also multiple diagnoses. You could have that as well as other things to go along with it. So it's not fair to label anyone like that.
Exactly. I think in those cases, people are trying to just look for answers, and sometimes they want to look for the monster under the bed, and as it is, we're autistics are kind of the new people, the new group on the scene. We're the ones that would most likely be kind of, as in any society, the newest group is always the one that would get disenfranchised the most.
And what are some of the myths out there that keep getting portrayed?
Well, the classic example of like the myth that I would think of is, you think of if you've ever watched the character The Big Bang Theory, the show The Big Bang Theory, the character Sheldon, that he represents every single myth that there is about Asperger's.
Maybe since it's a comedy, they feel like they can take some poetic license with it. What are some of the myths that they have?
Like his very spastic behavior. Like there's video montages on YouTube of him knocking on Penny's door and going, Penny, 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 Penny.
Okay.
The repetitive behavior things that he does. Like he's always talking about things that are completely uninteresting to everybody. He's socially awkward. He's the geek.
So they get it wrong. But Robert, I really want to thank you, because even for me with reporting on CCN, I felt like I went to you and some of the things you've written so that I could try to get it right. So I appreciate what you're doing out there and trying to dispel some of the myths out there. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And you're doing a great job, I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll be back with more Everyday Woman.